Hello and welcome to Go Ballistic here on the Scottish Sun Sport YouTube channel where, my goodness, Roger Hannah, it was a dramatic weekend of Scottish Premiership action. A lot of drama, plenty of controversy and a big surprise as well, which takes us to Perth where St Johnstone got a huge victory over Celtic. Celtic fans going there, three sides of the stadium, fully expecting to set up a title party, but that is not what transpired, is it?
No, it is not. Listen, that's the result of the season, the shock result of the season, really. St Johnstone, they were 8 points adrift. Get into that game after the Dean Kelly won it Saturday. I thought Celtic would go there and score a plenty, as they have done in recent seasons at Perth. And it just all went wrong. They lost a poor goal to a set piece at the start and just couldn't get going. And you could see Brendan Rodgers' ire was growing and growing and growing. He was out early before them at the start of the second half. And after the game, he was struggling to contain his anger. He even took himself out onto the pitch at McDermott Park for a chat with the groundsman on his tractor so they didn't have to face the players. You wonder if there'll be a backlash now against Kelly on Saturday.
Well, we'll see. Now, you mentioned there, St Johnstone going into that game, 8 points adrift. Incredible showing from them. Andy Fisher on goal, inspired performance. But had St Johnstone not got that win over the line, would you have been stood here saying that was them pretty much doomed the way things transpired on Saturday?
I think they're pretty much doomed anyway, Jonathan. I don't think anyone has survived being 5 points adrift at this stage of the season since it's gone to the split. The thing with the split is, somebody's got to get points. So the teams above them, whether it's Dundee or Kilmarnock or Ross County or whoever, they'll pick up points against one another. And I just think the gap for St Johnstone's too much. It was a great win yesterday. I've been quite impressed with Simo Valakari, the way he goes about his business, but I just think they've left themselves too much to do.
They probably have, but they've at least given themselves a chance going into this last part of the season. Now, as you mentioned, Brendan Rodgers not happy at all. He's been angry at McDermott Park before. That was where he famously said it was the angriest he'd ever been. Celtic obviously turned things around that day. Not this time around though, and he's kind of questioned the players' mentality at this stage of the season a bit, talking about their attitude as well, saying this is happening too many times. What did you make of Celtic in general? What did you think of the way they took this game on?
Defeats are happening too many times because they only lost 2 games last year. One to Hearts, one to Dortmund. They've lost 6 in the first few weeks, not even 4 months into this year. Now, Bayern Munich, obviously a quality team. You can lose at Villa Park, but the 2 defeats to Rangers will be a great source of annoyance. The defeat at Hibernian, controversial though it was with the equaliser ruled out, and then yesterday. It's not what Brendan Rodgers would expect, and I think he will be pushing for players for next season who won't coast at any stage.
Well, one player in particular whose performances have just completely nosedived is Nicholas Kuhn. Talking towards the end of last year, looking like a shoe-in for Player of the Year. He was scoring and impacting pretty much every big game, whether it was in Europe or against Rangers, against the other big teams in the Premiership. But it's been a real struggle for him, and he was hooked at half-time, obviously, as well. What's happened to him? What are you making of it?
He's out of sorts. He really is. He should have scored that equaliser when Andy Fisher actually spilled out Maeda's shot across the goal. He should have knocked that in. Stephen Duke McKenna beat him to it. He should never have beaten him to it. And I think it's symptomatic of a lot of the things that are going on at the minute. Arnie Engels, £11 million, isn't playing like an £11 million player. Adam Ida isn't playing like a £9 million centre forward. Jota, what did he call himself last week? Jota 2.0.
Yep, that was it.
Is not what Jota 1.0 was at this minute. And there are a lot of players underperforming. I was surprised to see Austin Trusty back in the team yesterday for Mike Nawrodzki. I don't think he did anything to deserve being left out. Jeffrey Schlupp for the first time. He was hooked at half-time as well. So it's not just Nicholas Kuhn. But I think the fact that Nicholas Kuhn's performances have gone from such a high to such a low inevitably brings scrutiny.
Yeah, he's probably created a lot of that expectation by being so good. Do you think it's looking at him again in particular, is it maybe the time to maybe give him a bit of a breather, bring Yang in or somebody else?
Listen, Yang could come in, James Forrest fit again could come in. There's always that option of going with Jota on the right, Maida on the left, and Nida through the middle. The problem is, if you leave out Kuhn, there isn't really anyone else demanding a start. None of those options we've spoken about, including yesterday, really forced their case to get a start.
Well, a bad weekend for Celtic, not a great one at all for Rangers either, slumping to yet another home defeat. I think the simple question is, with that defeat, is any chance or hope Barry Ferguson had of getting this job is that now dead in the water, do you think?
I don't think Barry Ferguson will get the job. He's not been able to get a spark out of these players. They've lost 5 consecutive games at home for the first time in history. They're not scoring. They don't look like scoring. The opposition look confident going to Ibrox. Athletic Bilbao will come to Ibrox full of confidence on Thursday night in the European game, Jonathan. And, to an extent, I feel sorry for Barry Ferguson and his backroom team having to come in and take charge of this squad, because we spoke about a few Celtic players underperforming. The entire Rangers squad is underperforming. From Jack Butland in goal, he's throwing one in almost every game now, right the way through the team. There's no Suter, there's no Diamandi on Thursday night either. I think whoever the manager is in the summer, it's going to be a massive clear out. It has to be a massive clear out.
I did want to ask you about Jack Butland, actually, because you say he's chucked one in every week. Got away with it the week before at Dens Park. Rangers came back to win. Didn't get away with it this week. I suppose it's kind of a two-pronged question, this one. One, should he be dropped given his form? And 2, will he be dropped, especially when you look at what the next game is that big European game? Would you want to change a goalkeeper going into a game like that?
I don't think you would want to change your goalkeeper going into a game like that and then going to Pittodrie on Sunday, because you remember if Celtic beat Kilmarnock on Saturday, Celtic will be champions on Sunday if Rangers lose, and they've already lost to Pittodrie this season. I think that would be a big, big decision for Barry Ferguson to leave out such a high-profile player as Jack Butland, and I'm not sure he will. I'll be fascinated to see, though, Alan McGregor's in there as goalkeeping coach. Can he stop these mistakes from Butland? What's he doing to stop the mistakes from Butland?
We'll see. And look, obviously throughout the week, the build-up to this big game against Bilbao will be continuing across all our platforms. But just want to get your thoughts on it while you're here, Roger. Is this going to be as good a side Rangers have faced at Europa League level in recent years? Just how big a challenge is this going to be?
Well,
can Rangers get through this tie, do you think?
It's going to be an enormous challenge. Bilbao, they're 4th in La Liga. They're not that far behind Barcelona, Real Madrid and Athletic Madrid. They contributed 3 of the players that won the Euro final for Spain against England last year. Nico Williams scored in the final. Unai Simon, the goalkeeper, albeit he's not going to play at Ibrox, I don't think. Danny Vivian at centre back. You throw in Nico's elder brother, Inaki Williams, and players like that. They've got a fantastic squad. They won the Copa del Rey last year. The hard-earned point at Villarreal, who were 5th in the table last night, and they are desperate to get to the final. The final's at their own San Mamés Stadium in May. They will believe not only can they get past Rangers, that they can win the whole thing. They believe the whole thing's set up for them in their own stadium, in the Basque Country, for their first ever European triumph. And they'll believe they can win at Ibrox.
We'll see. Big challenge for Rangers. We'll see how they approach that come Thursday night. Now, I mentioned at the start that there was plenty of controversy in the Scottish Premiership this weekend as well. Obviously, Hearts went into Sunday's game against Dundee United. They could have clinched a place in the top 6 had they won. Didn't transpire that way. With a better team until James Wilson
that was a turning
was
point.
sent off in 38 minutes here. Michael Stewart immediately not happy at all in commentary of the decision. But then after the game, Neil Critchley, the Hearts manager, basically admitting it was a red card. Now, I don't think he could complain about it. What did you make about it?
You can't lunge in like that. You just can't lunge in like that. Bill Leckie was at the game live. He didn't have the benefit of the replay. And he texted me to say, what did you think? Bill thought it was a red card with a naked eye. And as soon as you see it in the television, it's a red card. The boy, listen, he's made an honest attempt to get the ball, but he's off the ground. He catches Lucas Stevenson. And in this day and age, he knows it's a red card.
And a 3-way battle for the top 6, the final spot this weekend, and Hearts playing one of their teams. Motherwell, fascinating Saturday.
I saw St Mirren lose at Dens on Saturday, and I have to say, I thought that was their opportunity gone, because I thought Hearts would beat Dundee United yesterday. St Mirren have got a second crack at it. It's Hearts to lose. If they don't win at Fir Park, then St Mirren can win and get the top 6 for a 3rd straight season. If Hearts lose and St Mirren don't win, Motherwell could get 6th place after that defeat at Kilmarnock at the weekend. That seemed a fanciful notion as well. It's in Hearts' gift, if you like. Can they win at Fir Park? Who knows?
Who doesn't love plenty of permutations? A lot of that to come this weekend. Thanks just now, Roger. You're going to go and catch up with Kris Boyd in just a moment. So while you get ready for that, just say there's a lot of other content here on our YouTube channel, as you should know by now, including two parts of the latest one-on-one with Jim Goodwin. He sat down with Derek McGregor. Here's a little snippet of what you can see there.
I had a really great relationship with Henrik for some reason. I mean, we were injured at the same time at one point, and we were in the gym regularly together. And you know, people have got a perception of Henrik as being a bit dour and standoffish, but I couldn't say anything negative about the man. He was brilliant with me, great at passing on advice. You know, just a really good down to earth guy. So much so that actually when I left Celtic at 20 and I went down to Stockport, I came back up because my wife is from Glasgow, so we came back up to visit family and friends, and we had a night out in Glasgow one night, and Henrik was at the corner of the bar. My brother-in-law is a big Celtic fan, and he was like, "Come on, go over and get a picture with Henrik." And I said, "Look, leave him alone." I said, "He's getting harassed as it is. The last thing he needs is for us." And I said, "He won't even bloody remember me anyway." So I said, "Forget about it." Anyway, 5 minutes later, Henrik spotted me at the bar, came over, big hugs. "How you doing? How's Stockport?" Knew the club I was at. You know,
how did you feel that he recognised you? He did recognise you.
Yeah, he came over, and obviously he came and sat with us then, and my wife and my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law obviously was just in his element. He couldn't believe he's sitting next to his hero, and Henrik sat with us for a good hour, and we had a couple of drinks, and we couldn't get rid of him by the end of it.
Well, we can now head to deepest, darkest Ayrshire. Kris Boyd of Sunsport is with us. Boyd, you can't say it's the same old in Scottish football. We've got Celtic losing to the bottom team, St Johnstone. We've got Rangers losing to Hibs, a fifth straight defeat at Ibrox. We've got Hearts losing to Dundee United and blowing their first chance at the top six. It's been quite the weekend. You were in Perth yesterday. What did you make of it all?
Well, I think when Celtic, I mean, they're so close to lifting that title, and it looked that way yesterday. Felt as if it was just a matter of turning up and going to win the game. I thought they started really sloppy, found themselves a goal behind, and never really get going again. I mean, even Faddy and Lenny touched on it after the show, saying that the second half was they were decent. I mean, they were okay. I mean, I didn't really, it wasn't as if Fisher had. I mean, I think he'd one really good save from McGowan late on. Yeah. Two, and the one from James Forrest that he should have scored. Other than that, I mean, it wasn't a Celtic performance with a pepper in the goal, and you felt as if it was only a matter of time before they did score. That wasn't the case. Yes, they had a lot of the ball, St Johnstone. Could have sat off Celtic. Been able to hit them the counter attack, but I thought Brendan after the game was, you could tell he was angry. Didn't name a few, but I think we all know, the ones that he was probably talking about. I mean, I don't know, Roger, and I know he was excellent in the first half of the season. I do not know what has happened to Nicholas Kuhn. I really don't. He's struggling. But not only that as well, though, Roger. Not only that. I mean, Jota as well. I mean, he looks the part. He'll go down the line and chuck in a step over. But I mean, he never really created anything yesterday either. I mean, Celtic tried a few short corners, never really come off. You just felt as if yesterday it was a end of season game as such. And I don't think. I mean, Celtic have still. They're going to win the league, but Brendan Rodgers will want it wrapped up. He'll want. To get it done as soon as possible. He touched on it before the game as well, that you went to Perth yesterday and won the game. It was a chance to win the title in front of your own fans, and that should have been extra motivation, because I think when you're winning a league and you're away from home, and obviously the ticket allocation has been cut at a lot of grounds, it wasn't at Perth yesterday, and I'm sure the Celtic fans that paid their hard-earned money to watch St Johnstone put on a show would have been absolutely delighted with the Super Jays in Perth.
The big picture, Celtic are likely to win a treble again, but Brendan Rodgers, he spoke about controlling his anger. I mean, in the calendar year of 2024, Celtic lost twice. They lost to Hearts and they lost to Borussia Dortmund. We're only 3 months and 1 week into 2025. They've lost 6 games, Boydie. Will that be preying in Brendan's mind, and will that convince him he needs more in the summer, he needs more new faces?
Strangely enough, I mean, I know that Brendan Rodgers came out after the game, and he was really angry. You could tell he was angry. As you say, the possibility of lifting another treble is on the horizon. They're definitely going to win the league. Do I think they will need to improve, to lift the Scottish Cup on yesterday's performance? Of course they will. I think for St Johnstone in the league, obviously a great result, but it's probably the worst thing that happened to them going into this semi-final, because Celtic know they need to turn up now. But St Johnstone, their main aim is to stay in the league. But if Celtic don't raise their game again, Aberdeen or Hearts could cause them problems. It's quite a funny one as well for me with Brendan Rodgers as well, Roger, because although he'll want to win every game, sometimes when you're winning every game and winning every game comfortably, the hierarchy will think enough's enough. Yeah. We've got a good squad, we're okay, we're doing what we're doing. Brendan Rodgers knows he needs to strengthen this squad. He knows that. So dropping a few points, and as you say, that the games that Celtic have lost so far, that gives him enough ammunition to go to the board and say, listen, I need players in here. I need to get more players in. I need to add more quality to the squad. There is no doubt when Celtic are firing all cylinders, they're exciting to watch. They'll cut teams wide open. But we've not seen that, in a little while now. Maybe, I don't know. I'm only, when you look at it, it might be the case that looking at it right now, the ones who are playing know they're going to be playing. And we always speak about Celtic. There was always a worry for Celtic anyway, that the ones, because of the size of the squad and the strength and depth they had, if you weren't in that team, you could have been waiting for a while to get back in it, and you had to perform at a level when you were in it that you didn't allow anybody that chance to get back in. You look at it now, I think Brendan Rodgers has more or less said that, yesterday after the game, too many are coasting, too many, there's a lot of them need to raise their game again, and I wouldn't be surprised come Kilmarnock on Saturday if we see the likes of Greg Taylor back in, if we see Bernardo back, maybe even potentially Ida back in, and Jota and Maeda in the wide areas, because it did look as if Yang took a sore one yesterday. I think you've got to give him credit for playing on, but because there was no substitutes left, that he couldn't take him off. But I mean, it really looked a sore one for him in the elbow, and I'd be surprised if we see him in the next few weeks anyway. But for me, looking at it, Nicholas Kuhn is struggling right now, and it might just, Adam Ida, and I know he didn't really, or even Jamesy Forrest, somebody just to spark something again for Celtic, because right now, I would agree with Brendan Rodgers, they just feel as if they are coasting. They know they're going to win the league, but they are just coasting, and it's not easy just to flick it, on and off. I think for Celtic, Brendan Rodgers is a perfectionist. He wants everything done properly, and it will be annoying him the way that Celtic are right now. You could tell yesterday. I mean, he was out a good couple of minutes before the Celtic team came out at half time. It was a case of, I don't even want to face you. You know the mess you've got yourselves into in this first half, and you better get yourself out it. But it wasn't to be, and I think you've got to give a lot of credit to that to St Johnstone. I mean, listen, I'm not. I had my say on it before the game. I would be still surprised if St Johnstone stay up. It's a terrific result for them. A great header from Balados. When he's got a great ball in from Carey as well. But I look at St Johnstone, and I touched on it before the game, and I still, there's a lot of managers have been criticised at St Johnstone for the style of play and the way they've played about it, but kept them in the league. And as I said right now, for me, Simo Valakari is getting a lot of praise for the way that they're going about it, but I don't think it'll be enough to keep them in the division. Yeah. Listen, that's maybe just the way we are in football right now. Fans just want to sit and be entertained, but take nothing away from St Johnstone yesterday. A terrific result, but looking at it, they're still going to need another, probably, what is there, 6 games left? Yeah. Probably going to have to win at least 4 of those 6 to give themselves a realistic chance of staying in the division.
You touched on Celtic. You touched on Celtic Kilmarnock Saturday lunchtime. Celtic cannot win the league Saturday lunchtime. If they beat Killie, they could win it Sunday lunchtime, though. If Aberdeen were to beat Rangers, of course, have got Athletic Bilbao first at Ibrox on Thursday night in the Europa League. But a performance like the one at home to Hibernian at the weekend, Kris, what does that suggest for Bilbao and for Pittodrie?
Roger, are you surprised?
No.
That's where we're at.
We talk about Celtic losing 6 games this year. Rangers have lost 5 consecutive games at home for the first time in their history. They've lost to Queen's Park, they've lost to St Mirren, they've lost to Motherwell, they've lost to Fenerbahce, albeit they've been through in penalties, now lost to Hibs, and they're not scoring goals either.
I just look at, you look at Rangers right now, and I know, we speak about Celtic coasting towards the title. You would far rather be in that position. But again, Barry has came in, and has he improved a few things? I think he has. I think he has improved a few things. And, for me, it might be things that people can't see in terms of the working environment, at the training centre, at Ibrox. That plays a big part in, a team in terms of the performances, if they're going into their work and enjoying it. The staff and everybody feels as if it's a lot better around the training ground, but it doesn't guarantee you performances on the pitch. It doesn't guarantee you results on the pitch. And right now, you look at it, and it's the old cliche. When you used to go to Ibrox, or you used to go to Celtic Park, especially at Ibrox right now, you always felt, looking in the tunnel, we're already 1-0 down here. It's going to be very difficult because he's going to score, that one's good. You're looking at Rangers right now, and you would actually say, if we actually defend okay, you're going to get chances against this Rangers team. Yeah. We've got an opportunity winning a game here at Ibrox. You look at the performance. I know Dessers went through 1-on-1 a couple of times as well, and he had the header. Bajrami had the one off the bar, but I might be wrong here, but I bet you if you to go and ask the majority of Hibs players, staff, fans, once they got ahead, they felt that was probably the game done. Yeah, it was because eventually they dropped off and they were able to hit Rangers in the counter attack, and they're vulnerable because they're pushing bodies forward. I don't think Rangers were bad in the first half, but the second half, Hibs were in control of the game. They managed the game, and that's something that would annoy Barry Ferguson. And that, he was definitely angry after the game. He said that. But the performances, for Barry to have, for me, and I've always been of the position I didn't think Barry was going to get it long term. But looking at it, he didn't have to just get results. He also had to get performances. And once again, these players are they're letting everybody down, including themselves.
In terms of selection, starting with Bilbao, does Jack Butland keep the gloves because he lost another soft one to Dylan Levitt at the weekend? It's happening too often for Rangers fans liking.
Yeah, it is. I think Jack Butland will be frustrated with his performances. There's no doubt about it. He has shown that he is the top goalkeeper. He's shown that, and right now he's going through a rough patch. Listen, it's a difficult one. I don't think that anybody should be guaranteed to start, and that would be in the strength and depth of the squad. Liam Kelly will be sitting there thinking to himself, well, I came in, I done well for a period of time. If I'm going to get a chance, it would be now. But I think, when you look at what Jack Butland has done in big games for Rangers, you think of even the last round saving the penalties and stuff like that as well. It's a tough decision, because I think once you take your goalkeeper out, you can't just put him back in after a couple of weeks. You've got to give whoever comes in a run at it. And for me, listen, Liam Kelly has done really well at any time he's came in. He's shown for a period of time, at Livingston before, obviously got his move at Motherwell. He is capable of performing at this level. He's an international goalkeeper. He's been in the squads. So, for Liam Kelly, I'm sure he's sitting thinking, well, give me a chance. Yeah. But as I said, for a manager, it's not as easy to just, drop your goalkeeper. But Jack Butland will know himself. If he does get dropped, then he has made a few mistakes, and it's not like him, but they're happening, more often.
Yeah, and of course, in front of that boy, there's no John Souttar on Thursday night. He's suspended.
Big problem.
Will Barry Ferguson go back to the 3? Do you look at perhaps Sterling, Balogun, and Proper as a 3, just to give a little bit more defensive solidity with, say, Tavernier and either Jeffrey or Yilmaz either side?
Yeah, I think he will. I think he will need to, because you look at Atletico Club, they can score goals. I know the last 2 games in the league have been 0-0 with Villarreal and Osasuna, but they've shown they are a threat. They've got pace. even like set plays, and you know, they're a strong outfit. Can Rangers get at them? They can. I mean, there's no getting away from it. Rangers can cause them problems, but they're going to have to improve so much to do that. And you know, it'll be interesting to see what Rangers do come Thursday night, because we've seen Tavernier back to his more accustomed role in that right-hand side in terms of it may be Sterling goes back out there again to deal with you know, Williams. It might be, and Tavernier's, you know, one of the central ones, and trying to drive out from the back and play from there, because Rangers, it's all well having three at the back, Roger, but you can't just have three players that are just going to defend. You know, that's usually where if they play one up front, then you know, you that is your out ball, because if you would expect to have an overload in that area, and you do need to have people that are comfortable with the ball. I mean, John Suter is comfortable. There's no getting away from it, but he can't play. So, you know, Rangers might look to put Tavernier back to the right-hand side to get him on the ball, to drive forward, and then maybe get into forward areas, and Sterling in that wide area from his pace to deal with that. But then the flip side of that takes away, because I don't think Sterling's as good going forward as Tavernier, you know, for Rangers to get out on the right-hand side. So it can be a difficult one, but it will be a difficult one for Barry Ferguson to you know, to pick a team, because there is so many players underperforming. Diamondi's been another one who has done really well in Europe, but he's missing as well. So he'll be delighted that he got Cherny back in the pitch at the weekend. And albeit I thought Abita played him really well, and we didn't really see a lot from Cherny. So you know, Barry will be looking at it. He needs big performances. He needs these big players to step up. And albeit it's at home at Ibrox, Rangers' away form has been, you know, it's been very good recently. The last thing you want to do, Roger, is lose this tie at home in front of your own fans. You don't want. I mean, you can get beat, but you don't want to lose heavily, because, and that's, you know, when you look at the way Rangers are losing games right now, I mean, it's not just one goal, it's 2 goals, it's 3 goals are losing a game. That would be a major worry for Barry.
Two goals behind on 5 occasions as Barry took charge. Well, part of that just now, what about this fight for the top 6? 1 game to go. Hearts lost yesterday with 10 men to Dundee United. They need to win against Motherwell at Fir Park to guarantee it. If they don't win, St Mirren could beat Ross County and grab top 6 for the 3rd consecutive season. But if they don't beat County, Motherwell can get there if they beat Hearts. It's an exciting last day.
It is. You know, I think that there's been plenty of talk recently about, you know, the league being reconstructed again. Not for me. I think, you know, that the excitement that getting into the top 6, you know, the European positions, and obviously the relegations and the playoff as well. That's what's going to keep the league going this year, Roger. Well, especially with the top 6 with next week. You know, the 3 teams you mentioned there, we've still got an opportunity to get there. I think Hearts would have went on and won the game yesterday if it wasn't for the red card.
Was it a red card, Boydie?
Yeah.
Michael Stewart says no. Was it a red card?
I don't know what game Mikey was watching. I haven't a clue at the time, and then he doubled down on it as well. Listen, I think James Wilson will learn from it. He got away from him. He has, you know, there's no doubt his foot's high and just, you know, on the shin. But I mean, for Hearts in the first half, I thought they were decent. You know, created a few opportunities. It just wasn't to be. But I think you've got to give. You know, we always speak about, you know, Celtic obviously at the top of the table and what they have done. Rangers is always a talking point because we see performances one week that are good and then next week really poor. Hearts have already changed their manager and they're back in it. Aberdeen, the start they got, then the poor run. Hibs, but I tell you what, you know, one that's just went under the radar this year is Jim Goodwin.
Oh yeah, he's done well.
You know,
nearly promoted team. People forget.
That's about it. And I don't think I think not been out the top 6 all season. Sorry, not been out the top 6 all season. It's a incredible turnaround from Dundee United, especially if we go back to the start. I did think they would struggle. There's no getting away from it. Jim brought in you know, some good players, and none more so than Dalby, and we've seen that again yesterday. What a header that was! I mean, an unbelievable header, and a really good 3 points. But going back to that race for that, I think Hearts will have enough to go to Motherwell and get the 3 points at the weekend. I thought Motherwell against Kilmarnock really poor.
James Wilson suspended. It opens the door for Lawrence Shanklin to come back in. He was benched yesterday. If Shanklin can get the goal that puts Hearts in the top 6, is that a parting gift from the captain?
Well, there's one thing. I mean, it's incredible what a you know, a difference in a year, isn't it? You know, You go back last year and you're thinking, Lawrence Shankland's got the opportunity to sign with virtually any club he wanted, and well, no any club, but they had a pick of clubs to go to. It wasn't to be, and you now look at it, and he's now out the team. He's not been scoring. He's out the Scotland squad as well. It's a tough period for him, but I've been there myself. It can change so quickly, so quickly for a striker. And would it surprise you if he is the man to go to Fir Park on Saturday and score the winner that shoots Hearts into the top 6? And that is the life of a striker. 1 minute you're left out of the team. There's no doubt he'd have been disappointed. But with Wilson out now, he'll come back in at the weekend, and you wouldn't bet against him, because if there is one man you would want, to take his anger out on being dropped at the weekend, there it would be Lawrence Shankland, especially with everything that's at stake. And you wouldn't bet against them. That's for sure. And as I said, I thought Hearts would have won the game if Wilson never gets sent off. But even for St Mirren as well, it gives them a fighting chance. St Mirren been disappointed at the weekend, yes.
Yeah, I was there. I was at Dens. They were disappointing. I think if Stephen Robinson could pick the team again, he might have started with Olasanya and Mandron rather than a younger Anidowu. But he stayed with the team that had battered Kilmarnock. So, it was probably a sensible decision at the time. Nobody was criticising it at 5-3, but they were toothless. Yeah. They were toothless. The other game, we cannot go without a mention for your old pal, Rory McKenzie.
Yeah.
First start in 11 months, outstanding as Kilmarnock beat Motherwell. Derek's obviously having a wee flip back in terms of his selection. So, listen, keep your phone on. You might get a game at Celtic Park at the weekend.
Well, I don't want to. I've managed to dodge that one even with the TV, so I don't want to go there as a player. I think with Derek, when you look at his selection of the weekend, it was a hard-working team, a team that you knew. And I think Rory will be the first to admit. In terms of, you look at, is there better players that come on at football players? Yeah, there probably is, but there will be no players work as hard as that boy. No player. And it's been a difficult period for him out the team. Obviously, Kilmarnock announced his testimonial last night as well. So I might get the boots back on for that one, Roger.
Oh, listen, I'll come and watch. I'll pay money to come and watch that. While we're on it, we've said James Wilson was a red card. Kofi Balmer, was that a red card for Motherwell?
I think both of them at Rugby Park are a red card, Roger. I really do. And I know
including Dom Thompson.
He's, when he moves his head, the intent is there to hit Danny Armstrong. It might just brush past him, but he knew exactly what he was doing. Balmer, for me, is a red card all day long. And I know people are saying, the follow through, where you meant to put your foot, but you can kick through the ball. And then, but there was a twist at the end as well. And caught. I mean, you seen the tackle, the marks on Fraser Murray's legs after it.
Yeah, Motherwell have appealed it today. Do you think they've got a chance of freeing Balmer for the Hearts game?
No chance, absolutely no chance. There is no way that's getting overturned. No way it's getting overturned. It's a red card all day long. I mean, you look at, because of the Tarkowski thing, then there's been a lot of people, moaning about it, and and that was a red card, but. It wasn't as bad as that. It doesn't matter if it's as bad as not. He still catches him in the leg. In the thigh area. It's a red card all day long. You can see the marks after the game. He follows through, catches him, and for me, there is absolutely no way that that's going to get overturned. Plus, it's a blow to Motherwell. No getting away from it. But I think even more worrying would be the fact that the manager Michael Wimmer actually touched on it, that the game was effectively finished after the red card.
Yeah.
It was 22 minutes into the game, something like that. I mean, why would the game be over? You've still got an opportunity to go and get some. We've seen 10 men beat 11 before. And I know after it, it would be, because the way the game played out, that, it's easy to say that. But, I mean, it's not really what you want to be hearing as a player. I felt as if Motherwell we speak about, they've got a chance of the top 6, still an outside chance. I mean, if they beat Hearts and then hope that, Ross County can get something at St Mirren. If I'm Motherwell right now, though, I would probably be more worried about what's going on behind me. Just when you look at the, what the 4 points ahead of Dundee,
Kelly winning and Dundee winning at the weekend. It's brought it, and St Johnstone winning
Johnstone
yesterday.
winning as
Brought
well.
it very, very tight.
Everything's all back tight. And I just look at Motherwell and having, spoken to a few folk at Kilmarnock over the weekend, fans and that. I mean, it was a really, really poor performance from Motherwell. I get the fact that they were obviously down to 10 men, but it would be a slight concern just at this time of the season. Again, we've seen Motherwell get a result, pull a result from you go to Ibrox and you get a result, but it's no, I wouldn't. Obviously, they've got to go all out to try and get this top 6, beat Hearts, and then hope that St Mirren don't, beat Ross County. But for me, I'm just looking at what's going on behind Motherwell right now. It's getting a little bit close for comfort, shall we say?
Going to be nervy. Going to be nervy right down to the last weekend. Boyd, we can leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. As ever, we're back with your column at the weekend. We'll probably review Rangers Europa League quarter-final against Athletic Bilbao, and Go Ballistic will be back here next Monday to review a weekend's Premiership action. All the best.
Cheers. Thank you.